Have you ever just looked around and felt like our entire culture is obsessed with being young? Today, we're going to dive into a really provocative idea. What if this obsession isn't just some harmless quirk? What if it's actually damaging us, our society, and maybe even our own sanity?
Now, take a look at this quote. This right here is the core of what we're unpacking. The idea is that we've swapped out the deep, time-tested wisdom of our elders for something else, something fast, flashy, and, let's be honest, often pretty shallow.
Which leads us to the real kicker, the central question we really have to ask ourselves. What if this trade-off is costing us our collective mental health? What if it's literally making us crazy?
Okay, so first things first, let's really get a handle on the problem. We're going to take a long, hard look in the mirror at our culture and its weird relationship with getting older.
I mean, just think about it for a second. We don't just prefer youth, we act like aging is a disease. A wrinkle isn't a sign of experience, it's a symptom. A gray hair isn't a mark of wisdom, it's an error message that needs to be fixed. Anti-aging isn't just a category of face cream, it's basically a cultural command.
And this metaphor, wow, it just gets right to the heart of it. By pushing our elders to the side, we're not just being rude, we're taking a sledgehammer to the very foundations of our society, the load-bearing walls that hold everything up. And what do we put in their place? More mirrors, just so we can see our own young and often clueless faces reflected back at us.
All right, so what is the psychological root of all this? Let's, put our entire culture on the therapist's couch for a minute and see what's really going on.
So, this brings us to this incredible term from the psychologist Carl Jung, the Puer Aeternus. It literally means the eternal boy. It's this archetype of someone who just resists growing up. They see any kind of commitment as a trap, and they view authority or tradition as a threat to their freedom.
But here's the thing, this isn't just about a few people having a Peter Pan complex. The argument here is that this eternal boy mindset has scaled up. It's become the default operating system for our entire Western culture.
And you can totally see this shift in what we value, can't you? We prize speed over having any real direction. We chase after whatever's new and shiny instead of what's been proven to work. We crave these intense, short-lived hits of excitement over the kind of quiet strength that endures. These are the values of an adolescent, not a fully grown society.
So what happens when a whole society starts acting like this? What have we actually lost by telling the Council of Elders to, take a hike?
It's a really harsh metaphor, but it's a powerful one. A lobotomy severs critical connections in the brain, and by cutting ourselves off from our elders, we're doing the same thing to our society. We're severing our connection to our own collective memory, to all the lessons learned from wars and famines and personal heartbreaks, the very things that make us resilient.
Okay, let's make this feel real. I want you to meet Mark. On paper, this guy has it all, right? Great job in tech, making good money, but inside he felt completely adrift. He felt unmoored, like he had no roots, no connection to anything bigger than himself. So when his therapist asked him about his family, about his grandfather, this was his answer. And it's an attitude that, if we're honest, a lot of us can probably recognize. We just dismiss the stories of our elders as, boring history lessons that have nothing to do with us.
But right here, this was the turning point. The advice he got wasn't just, oh, you should be nicer to your grandpa. The advice was to completely reframe how we saw those stories, to stop seeing them as relics and start seeing them as a living, breathing blueprint for how to be resilient, how to survive.
And the result for Mark was absolutely profound. His anxiety actually started to fade away. Why? Because his whole perspective shifted. He suddenly realized he wasn't just some lonely, fragile little atom floating through the universe all by himself. No, he was a branch on a huge, ancient, and incredibly strong tree. That connection, it grounded him. Mark's story is the perfect example of something called the resilience gap. See, when young people are only mentored by other young people, it's literally the blind leading the blind. And they're not just leading them through a field, they're leading them through a hall of mirrors, where all you see is your own limited experience reflected back at you. So without an elder to put a hand on your shoulder and say, hey, I've been through worse and you're going to be okay, every little setback feels like the end of the world.
So if that's the problem, and it's a big one, what on earth can we do about it? Let's talk about a real, practical path forward.
And here's the good news. This is not about waiting for some new government program or law to pass. The solution starts with us. It starts in our own living rooms, and even more importantly, it starts inside our own heads.
So here are 3 things you can actually do. First, stop treating your elders like they need your help with their iPhone and start actually listening. Ask them about their failures, their heartbreaks, and what those things taught them. Second, take a hard look at who your mentors are. Are they just slick influencers who look good online, or are they true sages who've actually weathered a few of life's hurricanes? And third, learn from your elders how to hold life's contradictions, how to know that life can be beautiful and absolutely brutal, sometimes in the same afternoon. That's real resilience.
This ancient proverb just nails a truth we've totally forgotten. Youth has glory, sure, it has physical strength and energy, but the splendor of old age, that gray hair, it represents a totally different kind of power, the power of distilled wisdom. Which brings us to this crucial shift we have to make. We have to move from a deficit model of aging, which only focuses on what's been lost, to a distillation model. With this view, getting older isn't about decline. It's a process where all the unimportant stuff, the ego, it burns away, leaving behind the pure, concentrated essence of a person's soul and their lived experience.
Just let that one sink in for a minute. We are a culture of orphans by choice. Our ancestors and their wisdom didn't abandon us. We are the ones who actively chose to walk away, making ourselves orphans in a deep, historical, and spiritual sense.
And that gives us such a clear picture of the way back, doesn't it? It isn't complicated, but it does require one thing we're not very good at: humility. The path to getting all this wisdom back is as simple and as difficult as walking back to that metaphorical porch, taking a seat, and finally admitting that we don't have all the answers.
Because ultimately, all this wisdom, this council of ancients, it's been there waiting for us this entire time. It never left. So the real question isn't where to find it. The question is, are we finally ready to find our way home?